Jackson, the CEO of Top Practices, and with me on the call today are Ben Glass and Tom Foster. Ben Glass is the founder of Great Legal Marketing, and he's also a practicing attorney, personal injury and medical malpractice in the Fairfax, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. Tom is the founder of Foster Web Marketing, which is the most sophisticated company that there is, working with attorneys today to help them market and grow their practices. And folks, I will tell you, there are a lot of folks out there that are selling an awful lot of things related to the internet. Most of it's not that valuable. What Tom and his people are doing, because of some very recent, rather earth-shaking events that have occurred online, has validated their model dramatically. And we're going to talk about that today. But the title of this is the No Holds Barred Back to Basics Guide to Running a Wildly Successful Law Firm, even in this economy. We want you to know that if you stay to the end of the call, you will hear an offer for our event on September 8th, 2011 in New Brunswick, New Jersey. You know, close enough to get to New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, all that area. Nice place to come to. We are going to hold the second Great Legal Marketing No Smart Lawyer Left Behind one-day rescue mission. We'll tell you a little bit more about that, but what it will do is basically be a one-day doctorate-level course on what we're going to discuss today. I'd like to frame the conversation before I get my co-hosts in on this. This is my favorite quote, folks, and I hope it resonates with you. In times of change, and we are in rapid, accelerating change, the learners will inherit the earth while the knowers remain beautifully prepared for a world that no longer exists. One of the things you'll hear about on this call today is that if you thought you had your internet marketing organized and really, really successfully set up last year, things have happened in the last 6 months that have, in many cases, drastically impacted that. So we are, the three of us, and all of the hundreds of lawyers that we work with, know one thing and one thing especially, and that is that we have to stay sharp. We have to stay ahead of the curve, because if you're not ahead of the curve, then you're back with everybody else. But I'd like to say one thing here. Everyone's watching the news. Everyone's watching the markets, and everybody's looking for investment advice, and everyone that I talk to says, don't look at me. There's no way I could advise anybody in this market right now. But I'm going to take the opportunity and then ask my co-hosts to jump in on this to give you some very specific advice. On a practical level, one of the things that you should do is what you've always done, and that is if you're investing in markets, if you're investing in securities, stocks, whatever it is, just keep doing it. Turn off the radio, turn off the television, and pay no attention to anything that is going on. It's a simple system called dollar cost averaging, and those of us that invest without emotion, without worrying about what's going on, find out that in the long run we win. The American economy will win. And I can tell you this, folks, you know, I wish the Dow was at 20,000 today, but I'm 51 years old, and I happen to know, like I know the sun's coming up tomorrow, that somewhere in the next 15 years the Dow will be at 20,000, and I'll be there and I will invest in it. And remember, the American political system and economic system has been a hot, crazy mess since about 1778. This is normal. This is just the way things are, but it is also a work of genius. And so just don't worry about that. But instead, if you were to look and say, where can I put my money? Where can I put my time? What is the best investment out there? Because, you know, you look at companies, you know, it's really almost impossible to look at the array of potential investment vehicles for you in the next 12 to 18 months or even 5 years and make a really good decision, you know, that's not long-term like I just said. But there is one place, I'll call it your number one stock, and that is your law practice. It is quite simply the single most valuable asset that you have in your life, with the exception of yourself and possibly your spouse if you are lucky enough to have one of those wonderful partners, as those of us on the call actually have. Investing in your practice is something that's under your direct control. It doesn't matter what they do in Washington or they do in Richmond. It doesn't matter what they do anywhere except in your office, if you take control of that and you follow the steps of people that can tell you, look, all I can tell you this is I'm growing my practice in double digits because I'm doing it the right way. When you take your time and effort and you invest in that one equity, you'll find that no one can mess it up, no one can stand in your way, and the absolute biggest, best return you can have is with this thing called your law practice. You invested an enormous amount of time, energy, and money to have your JD. It's very important that you never forget it's your number one asset. Guys, any thoughts on that? Ben, I'll throw that over to you first because I know this is how you live your life.
Well, yeah, I mean, the stock symbol, I like to say, to go find and invest every single day is YOU. And honestly make a good effort to do that. And the discussion, as many people on this call will know, I've got 9 kids. In the summertime, there's a total of 7 who have either in the house or migrated back for the summer. And we have these discussions around the dinner table about politics, government, the headlines of the day. And my kids know, because they're able to repeat this mantra, that what goes on in your house is far more important than what goes on in the White House. And so we start there. We start with, and I would just broaden it just for a second to everything, to physical, mental, spiritual, all of those areas of your life, education. And then what we do is we import that philosophy of life into our practice. And so, spend a lot of time, energy, and money investing, in the one hand, in the continuing legal education world. How can we do our craft better? Next, investing time, energy, and money into the how can we market our practice better? As we're going to talk about on this call, it is the big differentiator. Graham and Tom, you guys know I'm on a number of marketing listservs, and I get lots of lawyers who email me, fax me their questions about marketing. Most of the attitudes out there are kind of down and sour, and it kind of goes in sort of one of two directions. One direction is this whole economy and the insurance companies and Congress are making it very tough for us, so woe is me. And then you see this little insidious side discussion about, oh, look at this guy or gal over here. They're doing marketing and getting good cases, but we don't like, quotes around the word like, the way they do it. And so there's a certain segment of the lawyer population that will steadfastly adhere to the same way they've been doing things over and over again, hoping like hell for a different result, complaining about the guy or gal down the street who's getting a better result because they're doing something correct. Oh, I don't like their URL. Their URL says, best lawyers or greatest lawyers. I don't like that, okay? Or I don't like that they're running a Facebook fan contest to get visitors. That just doesn't seem right. Well, you know what? The world has changed. And every one of these strategies, now those aren't top strategies, but every single one can do more to push you, as we're talking about on the call, to where you really want to go, which is to be a center of influence in your community for all things. I mean, I'll stop there, and we'll get into the details here in just a couple of minutes. But Dan Kennedy, who spoke at our event in April, had this just right. He said, you can look at the world, and you can say, gee, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't feel right. Or you can look objectively at the world and say, oh, this works. This works. And as long as it's ethical and you know it's effective, you go and do it. And you just kind of get over the mindset block that most lawyers have still today about marketing their practices.
And welcome to the call, Ben. I couldn't agree with you more. Tom, you want to jump in on this topic before we really jump into good marketing here now?
Yeah. First of all, thanks, guys, for having me on this call. I am really an idiot when it comes to investing and stocks and all that stuff. I kind of was in my early 20s during the internet boom and was involved in those businesses and was with companies that lost everything, and it was just I learned during that time that, you know, trying to get your money or getting paid by someone else's efforts, like the stock market or anything like that, although a lot of people do very well in it, but everybody on this call, lawyers, they're all entrepreneurs. They're all their own business owners. And, you know, the point is that invest in yourself. That's what I've always done. That's what I've known to do myself. And it works. If you put that, what other investment do you know that is going to work besides yourself? I mean, like, you can't bet on a better horse than that. And we're going to spend some time today touching on some of those points that can help you invest in yourself. And the whole point of the rescue mission, Ben, you know, talked about a lot of things there, is that we're trying to get lawyers to understand that the game has changed, whether you like it or not. And if you want to get on board and learn how to do it the way that many other lawyers that have been on this call and were skeptical years ago, finally, you know, they came out to the rescue mission or they came out to one of our summits, they learned how to do it. Those guys are winning today. And either you're going to get on board or you're going to be extinct. And I've said that 1,000 times, and it's true. And if you want to continue to blame other people for your own missed opportunity or your own wasting time or waiting for the perfect moment or for it to be guaranteed to work, then you're just going to be run over by creative minds and creative marketers. And that's really what we're going to be talking about, because definitely the game has changed, especially online. And if you're not online, if you're not doing stuff online the way they're supposed to be doing, you're going to be gone, because that's where it all is. And that's what we're going to be talking about, how you can take the most advantage of your marketing online. So
right on. We're headed there for sure. So thanks, Tom. Hey, you know, I want to say something too. Unlike you, I've actually had some really spectacular success with investing. And again, that whole strategy of just, you know, don't worry about it. As long as I live, I'm in good shape. I want to say one last point in this, though. Like many people on this call, there have been several things I've done investment-wise that have been absolutely spectacular. And if I could repeat those, I would. But as I look out at the landscape today, for the next 5 years, I see one single investment that I know will work in double-digit growth year over year. That's my business. That's our practice. And so that's where we're going to take all of this now. And Ben, I want to toss this over to you. You know, with lawyer marketing, all of the things that Great Legal Marketing is focused on, what you enjoy more than anything, at the end of the day here, what are we really trying to do? You know, we're very results-oriented. Where are we going here?
Yeah, well, let me just say, first of all, that the stock market opinions and advice you heard from Rem Jackson are not the opinions of the sponsor of the program or this station.
Thanks, Ben.
You should hire your own expert like Mr. Foster did. Okay, well, let's start here, because Tom alluded to it, and he said the game has changed, and I would say the game has really, really changed. And just even in the last 5.5, 6 years that we've been doing Great Legal Marketing, you know, we're getting ready to release a brand new toolkit, and looking back over the old stuff, man, it's a whole new world, and it changes every single hour, it seems like. But look, the problems are real, that we're in a very competitive marketplace. Okay, so you go to law school, you get out. I think the world knows there's a lot of lawyers out there. In the economic tsunami, a lot of lawyers left big law. They either couldn't get jobs coming out of law school, or they left big law and have created their own practices. So now you may have more lawyers in your town actually competing against you. The barrier to entry now via the internet is pretty low. I mean, when Tom and I were launching Ben Glass Law all these years ago and getting on the internet, there weren't a lot of lawyers on the internet. Well, now, lots of them out there. So that whole world is very competitive. In many cases, we're competing with big gorillas in our towns and communities. So the firm that's willing to buy everything from the TV, all the TV time, to the park benches, the sides of buses, things that a lot of us might sort of laugh and poo-poo, the reality is they're doing that because it has an impact. And a lot of times people feel, gee, you know, the such and such firm gets all the cases. And so why go spend a dime? Why not just sort of keep relying on my referral base. So that's a hard thing. Almost everywhere there's someone who's really got a lot of cases, a lot of money, and is willing to spend it. We're still competing against unethical lawyers. I mean, Rem, there's a case going on right now in the Northern Virginia area where the federal judge has already sentenced the runner, and the lawyers on the call will know that the runner are the guys, the non-lawyers who are hired to go to hospitals and track down people. The runner has been sentenced. The lawyer has been sentenced. I think the chiropractor has already been sentenced. And this was a pretty big scheme in an area, Virginia and D.C., where, fairly conservative, where at least in the Hispanic marketplace, there was a huge scam going on. So that not only makes it, we're competing against unethical lawyers, but it also, when you get a good case and you're dealing with an insurance company, and you, depending on who the healthcare providers are, it's making settlement offers lower. It's making you go to trial. So that compresses income both on getting cases in, and then once you get a case in, everyone's looking at you like you're the most untrustworthy person, in business. We also see, as certain states enact more tort reform, lawyers who used to, let's say, do the high-end med mal or products liability or drug litigation, as those areas become more difficult, they say, I'm going to go to bankruptcy class. I'm going to start a bankruptcy practice. I'm going to start a family law practice. And now we have coaching niches at Great Legal Marketing for bankruptcy, family law, DUI, traffic, and probate and estate planning. So that's important to know, but it's the whole thing of every lawyer thinks they can do my practice, and for the personal injury lawyers on the call, that's the way it's been for years, because even the guy who does divorces primarily, if one of his ex-clients gets a PI case, they're going to try to keep that case in search of the, quote, big, easy hit, and so they are your competitor as well. Next thing that makes this all a very big problem is that look at all the media out there. Media being the various ways that any type of advertising message are delivered. So, and the attention span of the average human being now in America is about like 2.3 nanoseconds. So you're trying to get a message out there about your law practice. You're competing against 256 TV channels, but even more today, I think, all of the social media, all of the Facebook stuff, print advertising. And so to get any advertising message out there, you have to be really, really good. Now, if you just niche that down to the lawyer messages only, there's a lot of them out there. Now, fortunately for Great Legal Marketing members, most lawyer advertising is still pretty crappy. But it is a noisy marketing place, and more and more difficult for lawyers to decide, where am I going to spend my dollar or my hour? Am I going to make a Facebook fan page, whatever that is, okay? Should I get a Twitter account? I mean, I see lawyers spending hours trying to figure out how to do this stuff. Frankly, they haven't done some of the basic things. We still have the lawyer marketing vultures, all right? And Tom's not one of them, but there are others, like him. And it used to be the Yellow Page reps, although the lawyer section in Northern Virginia, the Yellow Pages is getting mighty thin these days. We're still getting the Yellow Pages in some communities. I guess they're not delivering white pages and yellow pages anymore. But now the new thing is, the guys from Yodel want to call you and tell you, hey, we got a great lead, and we're going to give it to you if you join us, and all these little pay-per-click campaigns. So they're the marketing vultures. It's everyone who's trying to sell you a marketing media, sell you advertising, but they don't know anything really about effective law firm marketing. Trust me on that. And then you have the sort of general consumer distrust of all lawyers because of things like the scandal that's going on here in Northern Virginia. Whether you like it or not, the what was that trial of that woman down in Florida, Casey, whatever, who allegedly killed her daughter and she got off, not guilty. Well, people look at that like they looked at the OJ trial and they go, that's a whole big tainted system, and you're part of the system, so you're part of the problem. So that's kind of the issues that we all face. Here's what we're trying to do, okay? In a best possible world, we're trying to attract the attention of someone who's actually out looking for us right now. That is your highest value prospect. So it might be someone who just woke up and decided that today's the day he's going to search out a bankruptcy attorney, or the woman who says, you know, I'm fed up with this guy. I need to talk to a divorce lawyer today. Personal injury, someone who may have been hurt in an accident yesterday or feels today, you know, that they were injured by a doctor. That's your highest value prospect. And so we have to figure out a way to attract these people. We don't really know who they are. We don't know. I don't know, Rem, what you woke up thinking about today that might involve hiring a lawyer, okay? But if I can figure out a way that if you're out starting your search, that I can be the one that shows up, that's huge. That's huge. And just compare it just for a second to broadcasting a TV advertising message to 5 million people in a community, none of whom may actually have been in an accident the day before, okay? So think about that as a high-value target. Second thing is, so if we can attract them, if we can at least get in their way and say, I'm here, you know, at least come through the door, we need to keep them interested long enough to be able to deliver a compelling sales message, okay? Now, more and more across the country, that's via the internet, because what do Americans want? They want instant gratification. If I want a book and someone just recommended a book to me, I want Amazon to deliver it to my house tomorrow morning by 10 a.m. And you know what? 95% of the time that I make a decision of what book I want by 10 o'clock in the morning, that book is at my door at 10 o'clock the next day. That's amazing. I love instant gratification, and I would choose Amazon. Well, I can't go to Borders anymore because they closed that, right? But I don't know anyone else who shows up and delivers like Amazon does. So what we want to be able to do is to, and this is where Tom's going to come in here in a bit, but this is what he's an expert at. It's creating an internet footprint. And notice I didn't just say a website, an internet footprint that someone who's looking for you gets attracted to you and then sticks around long enough for you to be able to start to talk to them, quotes around the word talk, in many different forms, so that, and this is the third thing, so it's attract, it's keep interest, so that you can now deliver proof that you are the one, that you are the best person for that case, if it's a case that you want. Now, if you look at most lawyer advertising, Ram, that sort of proof is attempted to be delivered by, hey, we're #1 rated in all these consumer rating sites, or we've got 411 combined years of experience, or we've got all these verdicts, or we went to this law school, or we're on all these bar committees. Hello? Nobody ever asked the consumer, gee, is any of this crap important to you? All right? Did the consumer wake up going, I have a problem, I need a lawyer, and I want one that's AAA rated by somebody? Consumer wakes up, I have a problem, I need a lawyer maybe, I've got some questions. How can I get the answer to my questions first? And so what Tom does through the internet vehicle of all of this is provides tons of ways that you can now start to deliver via answers to questions, through interesting print, through interesting video. I mean, if you don't have video on your site today, you're going to get beat all day long, frankly, good video. So that the consumer decides in their own head that this lawyer is the best lawyer for me, without that lawyer ever having to say, oh, I'm the greatest, okay, because that's frankly a turnoff. And those are really the three things you want to do. You want to attract, you want to keep interested, and you want to prove. And what we talk about at the conferences, what we use in my own practice here, and what hundreds of lawyers across the country are learning how to do, is how do we do that? Via the internet, via direct mail response, via the way we answer our phones, via the way we run, if we're going to do any print advertising, either in Yellow Pages, newspapers, whatever, magazines. How can we do those three things? Attract, keep interest, and prove. So that if you do attract plus keep interest plus prove equals qualified prospect in your office, not doing some free consultation to just test you out and they're talking to 500 lawyers, but they're pitching their case to you. And we're doing this over and over and over again at GLM in every consumer niche and even in B2B marketing, because we've got guys who work with small biz owners who need all sorts of small biz owner stuff, from franchise advice to, corporate advice. The reality is all small businesses are actually run by human beings. Surprise. And so across every niche, we have developed the answers to this. We can prove it by showing different members of Great Legal Marketing who've come through our system and who are getting far better results than, well, what's the opposite of everything I've just said? The opposite is run an ad, hope to hell they pick you out of everyone else, have one response mechanism, hope they show up for the appointment, for your free consultation, hope it's a case that you maybe actually would like so you don't waste your hour talking to them, and then hoping that tomorrow the whole thing happens again. We've developed a system for doing everything I've described. How's that?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And so, Ben, when we're looking for places where we're looking to market, there's really these three areas here that you can see on the screen. And would you just speak about the importance of targeting correctly?
Yes, exactly. So what I just discussed really is that number one thing. The attraction is to the people who are out looking for us, who made that decision. So we've just talked about that. Marketing to the people who are on our list. What we're talking about here is the most valuable asset in your firm is not how good you are, it's not your books, it's not your car you drive to court, it's not any of that stuff. The most valuable asset in your business is your list of people who know you, who can tell your story, who can evangelize for you, who will refer cases to you, who can do your marketing for you, all right? And what we have to do is nurture, grow, and cultivate that list. And we teach that list. Well, we show that list how to remain interested in us. And by the way, it's not about telling them about all of our great achievements in the law as much as it is about being interesting and an interesting figure, a personality to them, a celebrity to them. So that each and every month, via, I'm a true believer, the monthly mailed, mailman brings it to the door newsletter can be supported by Facebook, Twitter, email marketing, can be supported by that, but never ever replaced by a monthly mailed newsletter. It absolutely is the best thing you can do. Again, so that people know that they're supposed to refer, how to tell your story. And then finally, if we are going to market to the masses round, TV, radio, print, so we're spending money to get a message out to most people who don't actually need us, right? Not looking to get divorced anytime soon, right? But if we're going to do that, let's at least do it in a way that gives that ad some chance versus all of the other lawyer ads in that particular media for that particular practice niche. And so it gives us a chance to get that case and helps us build our list, number two, right? Marketing to people on our list. So we grow, cultivate, and nurture the list. And each one of these things, each one of these three places to market requires really an understanding of message, of keeping their interest, and teaching them about you. And they're all different. And then when you talk about, okay, now we're going to do that on the internet, now we're going to do that on print, now we're going to do that by direct mail, now we're going to do that by radio, they're all a little different too. And what lawyers do who join our program is they get and see and learn all of this. And they learn how to implement it. So at the end of the day, they're working with clients who they like and who they want to see, frankly, walking through the door.
And, we're going to talk to Tom now about, this real issue of marketing online. I want to tell folks, though, and in a moment, though, we're also going to actually lay out that strategy that you just talked about. We're actually going to tell people how you do that, what you just said, very clearly. And one other point about you mentioned newsletters, and I know people on the call are thinking, oh my gosh, newsletters, I tried that, it didn't work. There's a reason. I just wanted to speak to that one or two people that are thinking that, and the reason is most likely you sent out a boring newsletter. If you send out a boring newsletter, absolutely nothing happens. If you send out a good newsletter that is written for human beings to enjoy and to learn from and to develop a relationship with you, and you're consistent, all of us can tell you, we can all attest, hundreds of lawyers, that there simply isn't anything that works quite that well. So it's really quite something if you are willing to open up your mind and rethink something that looks old but is actually brand new. But let's talk about brand new. Tom, we've asked you, or I've made multiple comments about the fact that things have drastically changed on the internet. And I'm using Google here, an image of Google's office, as just a representation for the overall internet. We don't think Google's the internet, though Google is, without a doubt, the key player. But would you, in terms that those of us that can't write code like you could understand, could you explain to folks why it is so critical that they know what's going on right now with this earth-shaking thing that's occurred, what it's called, and just kind of explain it to us. And then I think we have a follow-up question, which we'll have in just a minute. So, Tom, what happened?
Well, we're talking about Google, but really Google is the internet. You said it's not the internet, but it's really for our clients and us. Google is. It's the #1 search engine. YouTube is important, social media is important, and all that stuff. But Google is top banana. They might not always be, but they are now. One thing that you should know, everybody should know on this call, is that Google does not care if you are successful in your business or not. Google does not care if you are on page 1 or not. Google will grant, and Google can do whatever it wants. It's not a government-controlled entity. You don't have any rights. They can change their policy. They can change their algorithm. They can put you in the toilet if they want to. It's a business. You have to cater to what Google wants you to do. And Google just got smarter, really. And this is really the thing, is you have to look at the internet almost in the same way as you look at, let's say, the development of the automobile or something. I mean, we laugh at, you can imagine driving a Model T down the street, but, that was the beginning. And a lot has changed. So, and you always have to get the new car because it has the new feature. The safety features have changed. This car's not as safe. It's across the board, TVs, whatever else. But, you need the internet. You need Google. So you have to play by Google's rules. And Google does not intentionally try to disrupt your business. Google just tries to improve its own user experience, and that's really what this Google Panda update that everybody's talking about is about. Google's constantly improving, but this is a dramatic improvement because what it did was it eliminated a lot of what SEO people did to help Google be smarter. So, it's not that it's not black hat or, to get links from a directory. It's just that Google's not going to be like, you suck now and we're going to eliminate you from the internet because of that. It's just not going to look at that as something of value. And another thing that you should know, everybody on this call, is that this is a rolling update. It did not happen one day across the board. They are still rolling it out, and they don't update all their algorithms on all their servers all over the place because that would just crash the whole system. Actually, I was doing a demo yesterday or showing off something, and Google was crashed. So I wanted to get a screenshot of that. It happens to the biggest and the best. But anyway, I just want everybody to know that you need to cater to Google and what they want, and that's what we're about, is teaching people how to do that. So just first know that. Another point that Ben brought up is, you have to get into people's minds. What are they talking about? I can guarantee you that most people are not talking about some law number, that's in a footnote somewhere, or some legal annotation or something like that. They want to know how to fix what happened to them, no matter what area of law. And that, and the whole game of keywords is totally different. I mean, you need to think like your client. You need to think like the kind of clients that you want. What do they type in? And I guarantee they're not typing in everything that you think that they're typing in, which is Virginia personal injury attorney. That's not what people type in to find an attorney. That's what other attorneys type in to find you and see how well they're doing. That's all those searches go to. Those are not good searches that you should be so concerned about. It's not like that they're not happening, but that's not really where your focus should be. Your focus should be on getting on the search engine, or getting search results based on what your real clients are searching for that are hiring you. And these are onesies and twosies. These are long tail searches. You need to understand this. It's a lot of what we're going to be talking about here at the Rescue Mission. So through your content, that's where you're creating your attraction, and that's what Google wants. Google's trying to provide a good user experience. The only way that Google measures your site is through your content. The supporting piece of that is what links are supporting that content. But no matter what, if you don't have good content, we're going to talk about what good content means, because Ben talked about it for a little bit. Good content is not throwing up massive case results about how great you are. That's not good content. People don't want to hear that junk. You don't want to hear about how great I am. You want to hear what I can do for you, right? That's what only anybody wants to know. What can you do for me? That's like the underlying current of every conversation that everyone has with everybody else. And so that's how you need to attract people to your website, is I have the answer you seek here. So that's step one. I have the answer you seek. Step two is, once they come to your website or your blog or your social media, what have you done to make sure that what have you done on that page in terms of what does it look like? What are the, is it exciting? Is it entertaining? Why do we go to this slide? Oh, are we going to this?
You're talking about this, so I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, you're right. So you want to make sure, but I'm really talking about what's important from an SEO perspective with Google now, because this is a big part of the Google Panda update, is what is the user doing? What is the visitor doing once it's on that page? And that's not always your home page. That could be any page. And so what you want to do is you want to analyze through Google Analytics, the open tool that Google provides. And if you don't have that capacity to know how to do that, it's perfectly reasonable. You're a lawyer. You're not supposed to do that. You need to get with a web guy or somebody that understands how to interpret that. Just like you guys are paid and taught to interpret what's going on in a legal case. You have that specialty. That's why you do that. Anyway, so that's the other piece of what was going on with Google Pandas. It's paying a lot more attention to things like the bounce rate, how long someone stays on your website, or how long someone stays on that page. Where do they go from there? Do they leave right away and go to another website? That tells Google that your junk is not interesting. That if you have a high bounce rate on that page for a lot of people, then that page is not serving Google's purposes, and Google's purposes are making its visitors happy to the list or to the websites that it has in its index. So that's what's happening here. And that's why it's constantly changing, because it's about how people participate on your particular web page, not just your home page. That's just one page. All lawyers just look at their home page and they all want to mess with that. But you got to look at every page in your website. Every page you have to analyze. You have to look at it. That's where you can make a difference.
Can I jump in there for a minute? Because I think this is a really key point that I want people to know about. I mean, because everybody knows about Google. Everybody knows that we've got to do these things. But what you just said is it's critical that they hear it. And then, Ben, I want you to bring this back around, if you would, to what's on the screen in the GLM system. But the fact is, for the entire time that I have known you and Foster Web Marketing, your strategy has been that you must put appropriate and massive amounts of content on your website so that you can be indexed correctly and be the most valuable and effective answer to the question that someone's typing into a search engine, the question someone's typing into Google. You've also said that when they get to your website, you can't bore them to death, you can't look like everybody else, and you can't do what every other lawyer does. Instead, you have to engage them with high-quality content, video, offers of information that they can request so that we can convert all of these people that we've worked so hard to have find us in this giant cloud of the world around us, to convert them into someone that we would call a lead, someone that we could now use what we know in Great Legal Marketing to make happen. And what I want people to know is that Tom's company has been preaching this for years. Google just made it chapter and verse part of their doctrine, part of the gospel. So all of those people that are calling you, including the Yellow Pages Online, all of these SEO companies, and anyone that says, we'll get you on page 1 of Google, and then you expect some guy in India to throw some keywords on a thing and just bang away at stuff, that will be a colossal waste of your time, your money. In fact, what you're buying is the new version of snake oil. And we're trying to protect everyone against that. If we could just save you hundreds of thousands of dollars and stay out of that part of the Wild West of the Internet, we'll have done our job today. Is that fair, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, and just, you were kind of talking about, put video on the page, the call to action on the page. That's very important, but it goes even more granular than that, is that you have to make sure that those items that you put on your page reflects the search term. So in other words, you need to constantly go back and look. And you also said, you need to add massive amounts of content. That really just depends upon your practice. So maybe in the personal injury world, if you're doing every known types of personal injury, then yeah, you have to add content, which is basically your tackle box, your bait. When you go fishing, for those people that go fishing, and you go out, you don't just bring one lure, and I'm going to catch all the fish. You bring a specific lure or specific piece of bait for each kind of fish that you want to catch. And it's not guaranteed just because you know that fish likes that bait that they're going to jump on it every time. Fish are moody. People are moody. So you got to figure out why isn't it working today, whatever. But don't quit. That's another piece of it. Don't quit. The system works.
Absolutely.
You just got to keep doing it.
Right on.
It's like a game.
That's right, exactly right. But you've got to stay in and you've got to stay sharp. So Ben, I want to pull this back to you because we really have to watch our time on this. We're talking in terms here about the system, but would you kind of bring us back down and build that foundation? I mean, it's right in front of us here on the screen, but I think no one describes it better than you. So can you just kind of, again, let them know what we're trying to accomplish here?
Sure, and with one eye on the clock. And let me just add, too, that, I do keep up with this stuff. I read the literature. I stay in touch, but, the three of us sat down in Tom's office a week ago, and he was showing me stuff that I had not heard of, I was not aware of, that we're now working on to change at a couple of our websites. And it's because, as he said, there's something new being rolled out all the time. But fundamentally, I think what lawyers could do a better job at, let's just talk about that, content creation. And so developing a system in your own office where literally, Rem, every single question that any client has ever asked us, we are endeavoring to make a video that answers that question, supported by copy that answers that question. I can't tell you how many people have come to my office who say, I had a guy just last week who said, every question I had, I found you had already answered in a video. It makes things massively faster on our end. So we get someone who engages us in live chat with our live chat button, and they've got these questions. We can send them links to 3 or 4 videos on YouTube because we have this all indexed and cataloged that says, here, go watch this one, go watch this one, go watch this one. And this is highly effective stuff. Next, I talked a while ago about, you want to keep their interest long enough to deliver a compelling message. The real way we do that is by making them what you have here, this high-value offer, an ethical bribe. I've got some more information, Rem. If you'd like to read my free book on car accident or malpractice cases, watch a DVD and listen to a CD, just fill out this form. And what this allows me to do is now put them into a sequence where they're getting multiple nailed, interesting, ethical, effective nailings that do what? Establish in their own minds that I do know what I'm talking about. They're getting the sort of same thing in terms of email, but now it's very specific to their problem, their niche, the reason that they called. And now with email and YouTube and Tom stuff, every email can be supported by another video message. And it's organizing all of this in a database. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Infusionsoft. We also work closely with Blue Orchid Marketing. I've not seen any other software, including any case management software that lawyers typically use, that will handle the marketing, the complex, comprehensive marketing that we're teaching. The magic is, once you understand it and use Infusionsoft or Blue Orchid Marketing to set it up, it runs on autopilot. I mean, that's the greatest thing about what I do in my own practice and what I teach, is this stuff literally runs on autopilot. If you want to see a video, you can go to GLM-software, glm-software.com. I talk about Infusionsoft. You can get some more information there. And, of course, you use it extensively because guess what? Once Ben sets it up, it runs. I mean, it's just like, taking a frozen dinner off the out of the freezer, which I don't do anymore, thank goodness. But because we have systematized this, and we've got hundreds of lawyers across the country who give us feedback on the systems, tell us what's working for them, come to our conferences, give us new ideas, because one of the great things is now all these lawyers send me their best stuff. I mean, how cool is that to sit in the middle of a wheel where lawyers are telling you their best marketing ideas that are, when appropriate, shared throughout GLM. So there's no other organization in the country that has that type of camaraderie with, at the end of the day, our competitors. So that's ultimately what you want to be able to get to, is a system. You've got to listen to guys like Tom, because within that system, the technology part of it changes. And as he said, Google just wants to return a good result to someone who types in a question or a search term on Google. They want to give them, right, the same thing we're trying to give them, the answer, and keep their attention and all that stuff. That's how Google ends up making money, by being the search engine. You want to be the lawyer. Your website wants to be the legal information website for your niche in your geographic market area.
Perfect. It's exactly the goal, and that's where we're trying to get. And so I'm going to ask you, Ben, I mean, we want to talk about this rescue mission that's coming up in September. Folks, the best investment that you've got available to you in the foreseeable future is your practice. And so the question is, are you going to invest in it like we're investing in it? It's funny, Ben was talking about sitting in Tom's office. I was there actually a couple days before, and Tom put me through the same procedure that he put Ben through as we were looking through our different websites. And it's astounding what you can do whenever you know what to do. But Ben and I have been at this forever. We sit down with Tom and are reminded at the extent of his abilities here, because we're staying connected. And so, there's a decision you got to make. You're going to get to New Jersey, and New Jersey's a nice place, regardless of what you might have heard, on September 8th, 2011, for our one-day No Smart Lawyer Left Behind rescue mission. And Ben, would you just fill in everybody on what's going to happen at that, and you need to tell them about what you're going to do. And this is, I'm actually not kidding, what you're going to do for people that do come to it. I mean, if you like this, how would you like to have the entire manual on how to do this? Ben, go ahead.
Well, this is a great conference. We did this in Chicago in December, and it was fantastic. Room full of people, and now we've made it better. So first thing I think you should do is go to GLM for Great Legal Marketing, glmrescuemission.com. You'll not only be led to a complete, I think it's 14 or 15-page information piece on it, but you can see a brand new video that we just put up yesterday, because as I alluded to earlier, we've just rewritten our Great Legal Marketing Toolkit. And this really is based on 5.5 years of knowledge, data, feedback from Great Legal Marketing members. And we're going to bring this toolkit to the market in just about 90 days as a standalone product that we're going to sell for about $500. However, I want to get some instant feedback on this thing. And so that toolkit is going to be available free for every lawyer who attends the rescue mission in New Brunswick. It's my stuff, so I think it is great, but you've seen it, and it really is a comprehensive front to back, touching on all of the media that we've talked about here, digging deep, examples. It's got 5 or 6 audio CDs and DVDs with it. It really is the most comprehensive one-piece marketing journal anywhere. We want to give it to you for free, okay? And it's something we've never done before. We're likely not going to do it in the future. It's going to be, again, a standalone product that's going to cost more than anything else that we've sold through standalone. Right. And the other thing, too, is because we are true believers in our product and in our system, every lawyer who comes to the conference in September is going to get 4 months of membership at the gold level of Great Legal Marketing. And it won't be one of those deals where if you don't cancel, we bill you for the 5th month. It's going to be a completely free entree into our system. So every month you're going to be able to, you're going to get our newsletter, you're going to have some access to me, be able to send me your stuff for critique, send me your lawyer ethics questions, all that sort of stuff. We're going to have a follow-up call in December where we get everyone who came to the conference who wants to can get on a group call and ask me and Rem and Tom, I hope you guys will be there, questions about, hey, what have you done over the last 90 days that you implemented from the conference? What questions do you have? And we're bundling all that in together. If you've already signed up for the conference and you didn't know about this before, you know about it now, and you're getting it, okay? Because we really want to get the toolkit out, and I want to get some feedback on the toolkit. So glmrescuemission.com, it's got the video that tells you about this. It's got a link to the information sheet and a link to the order form. And basically, the best way to sign up for the conference is to download the order form, fill it out, and fax it in. You can call us at 888-GLM-BEN1, 888-GLM-BEN1. Talk to my Reem is another good way to sign up for the conference, but the order forms, frankly, work best for us. And we're looking forward to seeing people there. We know that this is a tough time for lawyers. We know, for all the reasons we talked about at the beginning of the call, that it probably is harder than ever. And, there's a whole new crop of lawyers that just graduated in May. They're taking the bar in October, and they're going to be out there competing against you, too. And guess what? The barrier to entry to compete with you via web advertising, direct mail, print, is pretty low. I mean, anyone can get a website. What you want, what you get from our conference, you get from working with guys like Tom, is the super-duper well-positioned lead generation attraction machine that he builds.
Well, thanks, Ben. And folks, again, you want to go to greatlegalmarketing.com, and you're going to leave today, or you're going to get off this phone, and you're going to get in your car. If you're like most people, you're going to turn on the radio, and you're going to listen to all that terrible stuff on the way home. And when you get home, you're going to have dinner, and then you're going to turn on the rest of these goofy shows all night long, or somehow this is going to invade your friends are going to be doing that. And you're going to hear about recessions, you're going to hear about depressions, you're going to hear about disasters. I can tell you this, There is no, we've all opted out of the recession. We did it before. We've opted out now. On September 8th in New Brunswick, New Jersey, there will be zero worries about the future. It will be a place of abundance where we're going to be talking about double-digit growth going forward. And I hope very much to see you there and to work with you for a full day like this. Tom, did I hear you want to jump in there real quick?
I just said that you're going to learn more. You're going to learn the strategy. That's what I was just adding to Ben's statement there.
Well, listen, thanks for being on the call, Tom, and thanks for everything that you do. Ben, it's always a pleasure to spend any time with you at all. Folks, you know, this is what we do because we know it works and because we're not leaving anybody behind. If you are willing to take a look at it yourself. We'll see you in September. Go to greatlegalmarketing.com, download the form, and fill it out. The seats are going quickly. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.